The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Major funding for Triad Today comes from Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, making healthcare better for all. This episode first aired in July of 2017 as a salute to Richard Petty. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to Triad Today Treasures, where we go back to the vault and replay some memorable programs from the past 3 decades. Richard Lee Petty was born in Level Cross on July 2nd, 1937. His dad, Lee, was a 3-time racing champion and Richard was part of his crew. But at age 21, the younger Petty started driving professionally himself and competing against his dad. Richard's car changed makes and models over the years, but he always ran under 43. He won his first race in 1959, ran his last race in 1992. And along the way, Richard won 7 national championships, racked up 200 victories, and was the first inductee to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Today, Richard's namesake is associated with a motorsports company, a family foundation, a museum, a garage that designs custom cars, and Victory Junction, a camp for chronically ill kids. We welcome the King to Triad Today. Good to see you, sir.
Yes, sir, man. Glad to be with you.
Was that introduction okay?
Yeah, it sounded good.
Because I worked on that.
Well, between us, we've done a pretty good job.
That's right. But we got a lot of stuff to do. We're going to bring the family up in a few minutes. But before I do that, I have to say, we all know that when you were racing, you were driving fast on the track. That's a given.
Tried to, yeah.
Yeah, but I also hear now that you're out on the highway, you drive fast too. Is it true that you can drive from Greensboro to Wilmington in 15 minutes?
It takes about 17 and a half minutes.
I do not want to get in the car with you going to. All right, here's a serious question. Speaking of driving, remember back, how young were you? You know how little boys like to, when they're 4 and 5 years old, 6 years old, get behind their daddy's car, do the wheel, whatever. Do you remember how old you were when you first got behind a wheel and actually maybe drove a little bit?
The first time I remember driving at all was my uncle's on a farm down there. And he's getting up hay one day and they had this old 38 truck, Ford truck flatbed, and they was throwing hay on the back of it. And they put it in granny gear and pull out the throttle, and it just sort of
crept along.
And so they put me up there, and I was standing in the seat, just hold it straight till they got to the end of the road. They'd jump in, turn around, and I'd come back. So that was my first time I drove a car, drove a truck.
Did that scare your mama when she found out?
Well, they didn't tell her, I don't think. I mean, they got the field cleaned up. That's the main thing.
Did your daddy encourage you to be a driver, or did he just want you to help on his crew? And did he say, hey, you need to be a driver?
I don't think we ever had that conversation. I know when I was probably 18 or something, I said, can I drive a car? And he said, come back when you're 21.
Yeah, because okay? Today you can
He
drive.
said you're going to grow up a lot from the time you're 18 to the time you're 21. And so I just kept working on the car, and he was winning races, won championships and stuff like that. And then one day, right before I turned 21, I come in and I said, I'm turning 21. He said, there's a car over in the corner, get it ready to go. We went to Columbia, South Carolina.
What, just very quickly, you don't have to go into a lot of detail, but I'm just wondering, give me a lesson that maybe you learned from your daddy and a lesson you learned from your mama.
Well, the lesson I learned from my dad was about racing. He said, I don't care how you run, just run consistent. If you run slow, don't give me a fast lap and then run a slow lap.
Right.
If you run fast or slow. So that was the deal. That was the only instruction to give me driving a race car. I don't know that Mother ever gave us any deal except kept us straight. My brother and myself. She was kind of the one that kept everything going at home because Daddy was on the road,
right.
Doing the racing and stuff.
That's a tough job to be the wife of a driver, isn't it?
Well, it was. I had my wife Linda. We had 4 kids, and I was in and out, and we took them with us as much as we could. But when they was in school, they had to stay home, and
right.
A lot of times in the summer we'd go to California or somewhere and be gone 2 or 3 weeks. So she'd take them to the beach and stay a while. So she really raised all the kids.
My wife goes to the beach and stays a while, but she won't let me come with her. So that's a different deal.
That's a different deal.
That's a different deal right there. Oh, now here's something I find funny, and you've told this everywhere, so I'm going to apologize in advance. But in 1959, you thought you were down in Georgia running. You thought you had your first victory. This is great, man. And then I hear that your daddy spoke up and said something.
He kind of protested the end of the race. They flagged me the winner and flagged him second. And I was in a convertible 57 Oldsmobile, and he was in a 59 Oldsmobile, I guess. And so when the race was over, we'd never won a race or anything and hadn't been running but 6 months or
Right.
so, just tickled to death. And so they said, somebody's protesting. I said, what? Yeah, come to find out my dad had protested. It was real dusty. It was 150 miles on a dirt track. So that was a long, long day. And so sure enough, when they checked the cards and stuff, they'd left him out of the lap or some kind of deal. And when it was over with, the way he explained it, back then, if you had a brand new, this is 59, if you had a 59 car, there was a $500 bonus. I had a 57. So the company made $500 more if he won than if I won.
He was a smart guy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and
he must have been. He was good because Mother was standing there taking a check, you know what I mean?
Did you always, here's something I've always wanted to ask you, and we've done a lot of stuff over the years together, but I'm going to ask you this. On a race day, when you're in that car running, did you always have fun, or was it like going to the office?
No, it was fun. Driving a race car was a hobby. I'd done all the work during the week on the car, took it to the racetrack, helped them work on it. You'd done everything that I did when I was a mechanic, except when it was time for the race, then they put me in the car and away I went. So again, you worked all week for your hobby. Like you work all week to go golfing on Sunday.
Right.
I worked all week so that I could go racing on Sunday.
That was the fun part.
That was the fun part.
Talking about something serious for just a second, crashes. I remember going back, and I looked recently at some tapes with Linda, and one of the bad crashes you had, she said, I just thought, it had killed him, because she'd sit there and see all you tumbling around and crashing and all this. Now, here's the thing. When you would get back in the saddle in a race after you had the crash race, were you ever a little bit afraid? Was there anything in you that said, I don't know?
You was that much more determined to overcome what the problems you had. I always told them, I said, look, I've never been afraid in a race car. People tell you you're crazy, but okay, things happen so fast you don't have time to be scared. And when it's over with, there's no need of being scared. So that takes care of it.
You've always been known for signing autographs. I don't care if you won 10 races in a row or came in 10th place. Stand out there an hour, 2 hours. Why did you always stay around when nobody else would sign autographs?
Well, I looked at the standpoint that the fans are the ones that's paying me. The promoter never paid me anything. The fans had to buy the tickets so the promoter would have money to give to us. And so every time I sign Richard Petty, I say, thank you for being a race fan. Whether you're a Richard Petty fan or Joe Blow, I don't care. As long as you bought a ticket, then thank you.
Very quickly, if the Lord had come to you when you were 21 years old and said, Richard, whatever the reason is, you're not going to be involved with racing, what do you think you would have liked to have done?
Never crossed my mind to doing anything from the time my dad started racing in 1949 up until the time I got in the car, the time I quit, and still today. I never thought about having to do anything else.
You're 80 years old now. What if the phone rang right in the studio? It said, Richard, we got a problem. There's a problem. And NASCAR and everybody, they need you out on the track tomorrow to run a race. Could you do it?
Well, I'd try. What I mean? I don't think I'd tell them no. I think I'd go try it. Yeah.
What did you? Now you're 80, but how old do you feel? Like I'm in my mid 60s. I feel like I'm 25. You're 80. How long? What do you feel like?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to feel at 80, and 20 years ago was so far back I can't remember that. So I myself, and in my way I'm getting around, what I do and places I go, I don't see anything different than I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago.
You don't look any different. You were in the studio 14 years ago. I looked at the picture of it. You look the same thing. Hang on right here. We're going to keep Richard here through the whole show. Coming up next, we're going to have a gentleman come in here and talk about Petty's Garage. It's not what you think it is. We'll be right back.
I am so
Why
frustrated.
can no one help me?
Waiting
This is
to
a
work.
nightmare.
I think it's
Healthcare is broken.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, we get it.
Really?
Really. That's why we're making healthcare better for all. Starting with you. Yes, you, Daryl. We're making plans easier to navigate by putting your benefits, prescriptions, and details all in one place. Convinced?
No, but it's a start.
We'll take it. Blue Cross North Carolina, making healthcare better for all, starting with you.
The world's brightest are Fulbrights, Goldwaters, McNairs, and Spartans.
And we know you will make a difference wherever you go.
UNCG. Find your way here.
Back now in the special edition of Try It Today as we salute the King, Richard Petty, on the anniversary year of his 80th birthday. Richard is still with us, but next to him, let's get a shot of Russ. Russ Stelfox has been on the show before. He's CEO of Petty's Garage. Russ, I'm going to go to you first. You've been on the show. We talked about this before. Tell our viewers what Petty's Garage is, and please don't say that's where the King parks his car.
He does that sometimes, though. They're mighty fast cars, too.
Yeah, that's right.
Petty's Garage is it's a custom speed shop, really is, a state-of-the-art speed shop, and we do everything from full frame-off restorations to building supercars. We build 1,000-horsepower Mustangs, 1,000-horsepower Challengers. We do a lot of Corvette builds, Camaro builds, but primarily we take customer cars and a lot of performance cars right from the factory, and we make them a significantly better and faster car.
Do whatever they want done to them.
Pretty much whatever you want. Richard says if you can dream it, we can build it.
Well, Richard, now this is in the old days. This is where all the work was done on the race cars, right?
Right. It's the same shop and that my dad started in 1949.
Same site, same building and everything, and now you're doing things for customers. Now, the thing is, though, and we talked about this before, Ross, there might be a customer come in and just say, hey, I idolize Richard Petty. Can you take my car and paint it blue? And you'll do that too, right?
Yes, we've done that on more than one occasion.
And Richard, so what that means is, and I want people to understand, you've done a lot of big, high quality work for millionaires and whatever, and all these fancy cars restoration, but you don't have to be a millionaire to come in and get something done to your car.
No, you don't. We got a menu, and you can start down here, and you can go clean out of the world with it. We'd like for you to work on this end up here. But,
what are you looking at me for?
But it takes everything to make it work. And so no job is too small and no job is too big.
And Russ, you've done things for charities too. I know you've done special things to raise money for different groups, right?
Yes.
These cars.
Yes, we've sold 3 cars this year, and together they've raised close to $500,000 for different charities.
Guys, one thing real quick before I go to the commercial break. Is there anything the two of you would not paint Petty blue, like somebody's house or?
And we used to have a house at the beach, and it was blue.
I'm not sure about you. All right.
That way I could find it in the dark.
Yeah, well, exactly right. All right, so all right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the King and his charities, and his daughter Rebecca will join us, and we'll talk about how they help others. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Try It Today also airs on GTN Spectrum Channel 13 and streams on WFMY Plus, free on Roku and Amazon Fire.
North Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's cleaner, reliable, and that stays affordable. We're getting out of coal and reinvesting in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that North Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
We should be taping what's going on between the commercial breaks because there's some stuff going on in the studio. All right, we're back now on a special edition of Try It Today as we salute the King, Richard Petty. And joining us now is his lovely daughter, Rebecca, who's been on this show before. Let's get a shot of Rebecca. Rebecca Petty Moffitt is Executive Director of the Petty Family Foundation. Welcome back, dear.
Thank you.
How did the foundation come about, and what's the mission?
Well, our mission is basically helping those who help others. And it came about probably, 10 years ago. When our family got together, and we get requests, people asking us to help and do things all the time, and we wanted to, and we said, let's collectively pick things that we support as a family.
Right.
So we do a lot with veterans. We do a lot with education. We do a lot with children.
Yeah, a lot of kids stuff. You've helped Ricky Prohl with his
Yes.
at-risk kids
Yep.
program before, because we've been out there at Christmas. Richard, the funniest thing was Santa Claus was out there at one thing. You were giving out presents to kids. The kids were excited and everybody, and I thought the kids were excited because of Santa Claus. The kids were coming up excited about your daddy, and Santa Claus came up and wanted his autograph.
Oh, that's funny.
What does that say?
I don't know.
You're popular. You're popular. And of course, one of the things that the foundation helps support is Victory Junction. And I want to turn to your dad for a second. For folks that don't remember, they just moved into the area, whatever. What's Victory Junction and how did it get started?
Well, really, it got started because of Adam Petty. Him and his dad went to a place in Florida, Boggy Creek,
Right.
and they're riding their motorcycles. And it was a place for chronically and seriously ill kids that can't go to regular church camp or YMCA camp. And he got in his mind and said, when he go home, he said, why can't we have something like that in North Carolina?
Adam had a good heart.
And then we lost him in the year 2000. And then after that, the family said, you know, he wanted to do this. This is something we could do in his honor. And so we just all got together and said, this is what we're going to do. And it worked out good because the racing people got behind us. The drivers got behind us, NASCAR fans, sponsors, all that. And we were able to, in a couple of years, to build the thing up.
Yeah, all your friends from NASCAR, the younger drivers that idolized you and whatever, it amazed me. It didn't shock me, but it amazed me. They were coming to help.
You know, what's been really great about it is we've seen like 26,000 kids that wouldn't get to go to a camp.
Yeah.
And so, Kyle says that, every time he goes over, the kids is grinning. That reminds him of Adam grinning.
He had
So
a big
now
grin.
instead of one person, we got a bunch of people grinning.
I just think it's great. Rebecca, your mom, as I recall, started one of the first NASCAR charities when she was working. So
she was one of the founding members of the Racing Waves Auxiliary.
Yeah.
And that was started way before me, but
Yeah.
a lot of times the drivers, they didn't have insurance because they were independents.
Right.
And if they got injured, they, that could put them into a financial
So your
hole.
mama was thinking about others a long time ago doing
Yeah,
that.
she was.
She must be proud. If she was with us today, she must be proud of what you're doing with this foundation.
I think she would be.
Richard, for people that, and you and I talked about this one time before, especially when we were talking around the recession time, people want to make donations. You want them to make donations to the Family Foundation. Yes, somebody might say, hey, Richard, I'm working a couple jobs. I don't have a whole lot of money, or I got some other things I need to do with my money. What do you say to folks about donating?
Well, I always look at it from a standpoint that, if you can give, give. In other words, it's a funny thing about giving things. A lot of times you give stuff, and even if the people don't accept it, you feel good in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? And so it's self-gratification, I think, for people to donate stuff, whether it goes in the right direction they think it is. But the main deal is, in their own mind, we've helped somebody.
Yeah.
And that's the best of all worlds.
And of course, it might mean not going to the movies this week or whatever. Take a little bit of that money and give it to the Petty Family Foundation, because you all can, like Rebecca said, decide where it needs to go and helping people. I want to get a couple websites up here. First one is www.pettyfamilyfoundation.org. That'll tell you all about the foundation, how you can give, and we hope you will. And then the other one is, since we mentioned Victory Junction, victoryjunction.org if you want to learn about that. Rebecca's going to come back and join us in a few minutes, but on this next segment after the commercial break, we have a young man who is racing on his own and part of a new team, and he's the grandson of the King. We're going to have him here in just a second, so stay with us.
I got free meals. What do you mean? No, seriously, how much did you pay us? I didn't pay anything. I learned how to cook all of these fresh foods that were delivered to my house. Everything in that grocery bag that's fresh, I had a recipe for it, and I know how to cook. It encouraged us to eat better, to shop better, make better decisions.
It's hard to believe the Safe Sober program has been going strong for over 30 years.
And over 600,000 students have made the pledge to stay safe and sober on prom night. Griff, it's had a huge impact on our community.
Yeah, you're right, David. And now we're making sure the message continues year-round.
So everyone can join us in supporting our students.
Learn more and take the pledge at safesober.com, sponsored by Daggett Schuler.
Back now on the special edition of Triad Today as we salute the King, Richard Petty, on the year of his 80th birthday. Big celebration it is. And now joining the King on his right, let's see a shot of his grandson, Thad Moffitt, a race car driver on his own. And we welcome you to the program, Thad.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Yes, sir. And look, Richard, before I talk to Thad, this thing about, I don't understand all this. People that don't follow racing, they say ARCA and NASCAR and all this. When Thad, you're 16, right?
Yes, sir.
When he's racing at 16 under ARCA, how does that relate to NASCAR? Is it like major league, minor league?
It's a step down from, but it's the same basic kind of cars we run, same kind of tracks and stuff we run. So if he runs ARCA, he's a bunch of boys that's learning, and if they get the job done, then they can move up to the next level.
They didn't have that when you were little.
No, not really.
Thad, was it hearing about your granddaddy and your daddy and knowing that they race, was that the thing that got the fire in the belly to want to race, or you just wanted to race?
Just growing up at the track every weekend and just being in there in that atmosphere just makes you want to go out there and run. If you're a race car driver, like being there, I didn't realize until I was like 9 or 10 that I could actually go out there and do that stuff. Like, hey, I could actually drive this race car at 200 miles an hour. Why am I not already doing this? But then it's like, it just makes you, being there makes you want to go get in the car.
What do you, I know it's a stupid question, but what we call him the King. What do you call him?
I call him Peepaw.
Peepaw.
Peepaw Petty.
Can I call you that?
If you want to.
That's what we all call it.
That's better than a lot of things people call me.
What's the worst thing? No, never mind. Richard, did you encourage Thad to be a driver?
No, not really.
Seriously?
I never encouraged Kyle or Adam. You mean, it's my dad let me make the decision, and I feel that if you push anybody to do what you want to do, they're not going to do a good job. They have to make up their own mind. If he wants to be a race car driver, we'll do everything to make it work.
But once he's made the decision, do you go up to him sometime, hey, Thad, you ought to do this and that, or do you wait for him to ask you?
Well, it's kind of both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've not been fortunate enough to be able to go to a lot of these races and stuff. So I guess he's probably lucky that I'm not there hollering at him in the radio.
Well, let's talk about that for just a quick second. Talking about the pressure. Thad, do you feel like there's more pressure on you to perform good because people know you're in the Petty family because of that legacy?
People try and put that pressure on me, but it's none of my family. Like, there's never been any pressure put on me by my mother, my father, or even him or Uncle Kyle, or none of them have ever put any pressure on me. It's people like, at my first ARCA race, they came up to me and they were like, you know, Adam won his first ARCA race.
Oh,
you
Lord.
going to do the same thing?
Now they're putting the pressure on. Richard, I'm going to put you on the spot. Does Thad have the right stuff? Is he the real deal?
We'll find out. To be a race car driver, it really is going to take 4 or 5 years of experience and stuff to see how he makes it from one year to another, or from one kind of car to another. If he makes that adaptation, then it takes a little while. Just because you go out and win your first race doesn't make you a race car driver.
May not win anymore.
Or go out and lose the first race doesn't make you that you're not going to get there.
Before we lose time, one thing before the commercial break. Thad, I know that women love race car drivers. Do you have any girlfriends that we should know about?
He told me to stay out of that stuff until I get older and just focus on the race.
So if he's going to be a race car driver, for 4 or 5 years, all he can do is look at race cars. After that, then he's on his own.
That was my mistake. Coming next, 3 generations of Petty. We're bringing Thad's mama. Rebecca will be back up with us, so stay tuned.
At Sutton Brothers, we're confident we can help you solve your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs.
So confident that we'll fix it or it's free. Our highly trained technicians will diagnose your problem and fix it with either a repair or replacement.
And if we can't fix it, you won't pay the trip fee.
So the next time you have a problem, call us.
We'll make sure you're completely satisfied.
Guaranteed.
Call Sutton Brothers today and be confident things will be done right. Schedule online at suttonbros.com.
Major funding for Triad Today comes from Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, making health care better for all. Back now on the final lap of our special Triad Today as we salute Richard Petty, the King, on the anniversary of his 80th birthday year. And joining us again, Thad Moffitt, of course, is a race car driver in his own right, and his mom, Rebecca Petty Moffitt, who heads up the foundation. So we just want to spend a couple of final minutes. Rebecca, real quick, what was it like growing up as the daughter of the King. Was he a good dad?
He was a great dad. He's still a good dad. But, you know, that's the number one question I get. You know, what is it like to be Richard Petty's daughter? And my answer is always, I have nothing to compare it to. He's the only daddy I've ever had. And
well, we hope so.
Yeah. So I have nothing to compare it to. So.
Yeah. Now, Richard, we mentioned your late wife, Linda, a wonderful woman before, but just very quickly, she was sort of the crew chief at home, wasn't she?
She was all of it at home. She was the crew chief, the driver, the cook, the whole deal.
And so did that allow you to have a peace of mind to know that you need to go out and do what you need to do on the track and not worry? And
the deal was, I think when we got married, I said, you take care of the house and the kids, and I'll go out and try to get enough money to bring back so that you can do that.
Yeah.
So it worked good for 55 years.
Yeah, but she was the boss.
Well, yes.
And you told me off camera too that now you've got the 3 daughters and Rebecca and her 2 sisters.
I could get away from Linda every once in a while. You can't get away from 3 of them.
Thad, did you? Somebody told me you only got into racing because you didn't want to have to do chores. Is that right?
No, that's not.
What did your mom say when you first said, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to race"?
She was nervous. I still tell her stuff, and she's nervous. She loves watching me, but sometimes she has to listen to the radio because if she can't hear me while I'm in the car, then she gets so nervous she'll be probably running down there on the track trying to get me out of the car. But
is that true? Is that true, Rebecca?
That is true.
Yeah, Rebecca. What is your? I know you don't want to embarrass your dad sitting next to him. Man, we didn't rehearse this or anything. What's your dad's legacy? Do you think?
Well, we always say the museum and Petty's Garage and what we're building now. We want it to carry on long beyond even me, even him. We want people to come and see what my family built, what we do, like how successful he was, and that he's still so humble and still likes to be.
He is, and I saw some old footage the other day of one of the first events you had out at the garage years and years ago, and it was like people were lined up for, they said, 2 miles to get autographs. And so you know something's going on special. Richard, I guess we end up talking about one thing, and by the way, thanks for mentioning the museum again. I want people to go out and see that. But 100 years from now, what do you want people to remember you for other than being Thad's granddaddy?
That'd be good.
Yeah.
You know, I guess everybody you meet and everybody that knows me is going to look at me a little bit different. So it's not up to me to tell you how to do. I just told the guy, as long as they remember you, whether you're a good guy, bad guy, or SOB, if they remember you, that's about as far as you can go.
Yeah. Proud of your granddaddy, aren't you?
Yes, sir. Big shoes to fill, big boots to fill.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, he is the king, and I'm so glad that the 2 of you joined us, and Russ, of course, earlier as well. It's a great, I think the legacy too, of course, I didn't grow up being your son or anything, we're not that far apart in age, but I think the legacy too is just your character and this foundation, everything y'all started. Rebecca and Thad, thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for watching this special edition of Try It Today. I'm Jim Longworth.